Hello, BookTube. Busy Saturday. We have a big event at the library tonight. It's actually in the old meeting house. It's a jazz band auction of donated items for the library. Raises money and for all these different projects we have going. So I'll get to introduce the jazz band and my fellow employees and board of trustees, all that to the community. So I'm looking forward to that. And there's food and wine and all that stuff. So it's a great time. And I thought I'd get in a little bit of a book haul and maybe a new project I'm considering. So let me get right into it. One of the first things I got here, and it was odd to me in my library, my home library, that I did not have a copy of Treasure Island. And I do have one of Captain's Courageous because I have the complete Kipling set. But I've always loved Robert Louis Stevenson. So I managed to find this. It's got both Captain's Courageous and Treasure Island. And here are the end papers. Pretty little thing. This is, so the first part is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, adapted by M. Georgia Livingston, who is the chairman of English department at Morgan Park High School in Chicago, Illinois. This is J.J. Little and Ives Company, Incorporated, New York. And this thing was from 1948. And there are illustrations. Hopefully you can see that. One of my favorite books ever, Treasure Island. And I also very much enjoyed Captain's Courageous. So Captain's Courageous is right here. So Captain's Courageous by Rudyard Kipling, edited by Frederick Hook Law, formerly head of the Department of English, Stuyvesant High School in New York City. Again, J.J. Little and Ives Company, Incorporated in New York. And this one is from 1953. And again with the artwork there. See if I can find something else here. So nice find. And then I found an anthology, and I do like anthologies. This happens to be a Latin literature and translation anthology, and it's does not have a dust jacket. I would imagine it originally came on, but it's quite handsome the way it is. It has this wonderful fold-out map. Let's see if I can do this without causing any damage. Get a little closer there. Very good shape. This came out in 1952, and it's David McKay Company, Incorporated, New York. This is the second edition, Latin Literature in Translation by Kevin Gounod, Eastern Illinois University, and Alfred P. Dorhan, Northwestern University, and hopefully I'm pronouncing those correctly. So, many different translators, all the way back to John Dryden to more modern. There was a Lord Byron translation. So in here we have Plautus, Terence, Cato, Lucretius, Caesar, which is his Gallic War, Cicero, or Cicero, depending on how you want to say it, Catullus, Sallust, Virgil, Virgil's Eclogue, and also the Aeneid. Give you an idea what the table contents look like. Let's see what the Ovid, Seneca, Juvenal, all the way up to St. Augustine. So quite a good selection. And just sort of dip in and out of that. This next thing here is a beauty. I've got a little bookmark because I already started in on it. This is A Literary History of America by Barrett Wendell. It's a Scribner's. So you see the CSS, Charles Scribner's son. Oh, here's what it, look at that. Very nice. The edges there. So this is part of the Library of Literary History. Sorry about the banging out there. So in this library, there's also volumes of History of India, Literary History of Ireland, and then this is the third one. And in preparation was Literary History of the Jews. This is Literary History of America by Barrett Wendell, Professor of English at Harvard College, 3rd edition, Charles Scribner's and Sons, New York, 1901. So it starts in the 17th century, and it does a little overview of English history from 1600 to 1700. And then they work into the American stuff. So very excited to find that. Then a volume of poetry, Day by Day by Robert Lowell. The dust jacket was a little roughed up, so you can see I've tried to save it as best I could. It's Farrar, Straus and Giroux, New York. And this came out in 1977. It's the second printing. So that was it on the books, but I found something else for almost nothing. And these are the great courses by the Teaching Company. And the first one here is these are discarded from the local library, so they're nothing to collect or anything, but I just wanted to do the courses just for fun. And the first one here is Elements of Jazz, and this is on 8 CDs, and I already started listening to them on the way home. So the lecturer is Professor Bill Messenger. So there's 8 lectures. Starts with plantation beginnings, the rise and fall of ragtime, the jazz age, blues, the swing era, boogie, big band blues and bop, modern jazz, and the ABCs of jazz improvisation. So it's a CD, so that's no problem. I can play these no problem at all. But I got a bunch of other ones that are cassettes. And like I say, they didn't really cost anything. So I have to go find a cassette player, so they'll end up costing in a way. But I just couldn't pass them up. And so the first set here is Masterpieces of the Imaginative Mind. And the professor is Eric S. Rabkin. Here, let me do this. So if you open them up, this isn't a good example. Here, let me go ahead and open this. So you have the cassettes. You actually have them on both sides. And then you get the booklet with the course material. So, and that just fits right in there. So this is part 2, and this is part 1. So part 1 is Brothers Grimm and the Fairy Tale Psychology, Prop, Structure, and Cultural Identity, Hoffman and the Theory of the Fantastic, Poe, Genres and Degrees of the Fantastic, Lewis Carroll, Puzzles, Language and the Audience, H.G. Wells, We Are All Talking Animals, Franz Kafka, Dashed Fantasies, Woolf, Fantastic Feminism and Periods of Art, Rob Grillet, Experimental Fiction and Myth, Tolkien in Mass Production of the Fantastic, Children's Literature in the Fantastic, Postmodernism in the Fantastic. So that would be, oh, you get too much glare there, but that would be the first part. Then the second part is Defining Science Fiction, Mary Shelley, Grandmother of Science Fiction, Hawthorne Poe and the Eden Complex, Jules Verne and the Robinsonade, Wells' Industrialization of the Fantastic, History of Utopia, Science Fiction and Religion, Pulp Fiction, Bradbury and the American Myth, Robert A. Heinlein, He Mapped the Future, Asimov and Clarke, Cousins in Utopia, Ursula K. Le Guin, Transhuman Anthropologist, and then the final lecture is Cyberpunk, Postmodernism, and Beyond. So quite, I think, worth finding a little inexpensive cassette player just to hear these. Sounds like great fun. Then I got a 2-part set here. Again, cassettes. So but I'd really like to listen to these too. This is Ancient Greek Civilization. So, there's again 24 lectures. So Greece and the Western World, Minoan Crete, Schliemann and Mycenae, the Long Twilight, the Age of Heroes, from Sicily to Syria, the growth of trade and colonization, Delphi and Olympia, the Spartans, revolution, tyranny, the origins of democracy, and beyond Greece, the Persian Empire. And then the second one is Persian Wars, the Athenian Empire, the art of democracy, sacrifice in Greek religion, theater and the competition of art, sex and gender, the Peloponnesian War Part 1 and 2, Socrates on trial, slavery and freedom, Athens in decline, that's a question mark at the end of that one, and then Philip, Alexander, and Greece in transition. And then to wrap it up, and I would actually do these after I did those Greek ones, is a 3-part set. So let's see, that would make 36 lectures. Each of these boxes has 6 cassettes and a guidebook. And this is the Peloponnesian War. And this is with Professor Kenneth W. Harl, who's a professor of classical and Byzantine history at Tulane. So, and I'm not going to read every one of the lectures on the Peloponnesian War. We'll be here all day, but you get my point. So it seems like it would be fun to me to maybe do read the landmark Thucydides while I was listening to lectures on the Peloponnesian War. Ancient Greek civilization, maybe read, I don't know, one of my, survey histories. Masterpieces of the Imaginative Mind might be a great idea. Well, I probably would get ideas from the lectures themselves, but maybe to read some of these authors while I'm going through it. And then obviously with the Elements of Jazz, I'm sure they have excerpts. They were doing a little of the part I listened, so I maybe track down some of this music. So between that and the collection of books here, I'm also finishing up The King of Elfland's Daughter, which was a buddy read with Elena Macrodina, and really enjoying the language. I like the story, but I'm really enjoying the language, and it's a little different. So I'll try to give you an update on that. And thank you, BookTube.